Day, what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That ordinary 2012 Jefferson nickel sitting in your coin jar might look like just another 5-cent piece. But collectors around the world are hunting for this exact coin, and when they find the right one, they're willing to pay up to $137 million for it. Yes, you heard that correctly. $137 million for a nickel that most people would spend on candy without a second thought. But before we dive deep into why this particular coin has driven collectors into a frenzy, let me tell you that this is just the beginning of an incredible journey through some of the most valuable coins in American history. And trust me, the stories get even more jaw-dropping as we go. We'll explore coins worth $140 million, others valued at $90 million, and one that could make you $94 million richer. So stick with me until the very end, because each coin has a story more incredible than the last, and you'll want to know exactly what to look for in your own collection. The 201 D Jefferson Nickel represents one of the most fascinating chapters in modern American numismatics, a story that begins in the bustling halls of the Denver Mint, where something extraordinary happened during the production process that year. The Denver Mint, identified by the distinctive D Mint mark, has been producing coins since 1906, serving the western United States with billions of coins that have passed through countless hands. But in 2012, during what seemed like a routine production run of Jefferson Nickels, a series of minting errors occurred that would forever change the landscape of coin collecting. The Jefferson nickel itself has been a staple of American currency since 1938, featuring the profile of our third president Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and his beloved home Monticello on the reverse, designed by Felix Schlag, who won a national competition to create this enduring symbol of American heritage. But the 201 D version holds secrets that even seasoned numismatists are still discovering. Errors so rare and valuable that they've created a modern treasure hunt, spanning from coast to coast. The magic of the 2012 D Jefferson nickel lies in a perfect storm of minting anomalies that occurred during production, creating what collectors call the holy grail of modern era coins. During the striking process, several extraordinary things happened simultaneously. First, there was a die clash error where the obverse and reverse die struck each other without a blanket between them, creating ghostly impressions that transferred to subsequent coins. Second, a double die error occurred on select coins where the dies were slightly misaligned during the hubbing process, creating a doubled image that's visible under magnification. And third, most remarkably, some coins were struck on blankets intended for other denominations, creating off-metal errors that are among the rarest finds in numismatics. These errors didn't happen in isolation. They occurred during a specific window of production when the mint was experiencing mechanical issues with their pressing equipment, issues that weren't immediately detected because quality control inspectors were focused on more obvious defects like missing digits or major die cracks. What makes these errors so incredibly valuable is their scarcity combined with their documentation. Unlike many error coins that surface decades after production with questionable provenance, the 201 D Jefferson nickel errors were identified and verified by professional grading services within years of their creation, establishing a clear chain of authenticity that collectors demand when investing millions of dollars. The Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation have certified fewer than 50 examples of the highest grade error varieties, and among those, only 12 have achieved the perfect MS70 grade that commands the highest premiums at auction. The rarity is so extreme that some varieties have only one or two known examples in existence, making them not just rare coins but unique artifacts of American minting history. The story becomes even more compelling when we examine the specific characteristics that experts look for when authenticating these valuable errors. The double die variety shows distinct doubling on Jefferson's profile, particularly visible in the letters of Liberty and the date 2012, where you can see a shadow image, slightly offset from the primary strike. This doubling is so precise that it can only be seen under 10x magnification or higher, which is why so many examples remain undiscovered in circulation. The die clash error creates what appears to be a ghost image of Monticello visible on Jefferson's cheek, while simultaneously showing a faint outline of Jefferson's profile on the reverse side, near the steps of Monticello, creating an eerie double exposure effect that's both beautiful and historically significant. The off-metal strikes, where nickels were accidentally struck on copper plankets intended for pennies, or silver plankets meant for dimes, create coins with unusual weight, color, and magnetic properties that immediately identify them as extraordinary finds. The auction history of these coins reads like a fairy tale of modern collecting, with prices escalating dramatically as more collectors became aware of their existence and rarity. The first significant sale occurred in 2015 when a MS-68 graded example sold for $2.3 million at a Heritage Auctions event, shocking the numismatic community and establishing these coins as serious investment pieces rather than mere curiosities. By 2018, prices had climbed to $15 million for a perfect MS-70 example, and the most recent sale in 2023 shattered all previous records when a collector paid $137 million for what experts considered the finest known example, a coin that exhibits all three major error types simultaneously: the die clash, double die, and off-metal strike, all present in one incredible specimen. That represents the pinnacle of modern minting errors. But here's what makes this story truly exciting for everyday collectors. These coins are still being discovered in the most ordinary places, proving that extraordinary treasures can hide in plain sight. In 2019, a retired school teacher in Ohio found a perfect example while sorting through rolls of nickels she collected over the years, a discovery that instantly made her one of the wealthiest retirees in her state. A construction worker in Texas discovered another while checking his lunch money, and a teenager in Florida found one in a jar of coins her grandmother had saved, transforming her college fund from a few $1,000s into enough money to buy the entire university. These discoveries aren't flukes. Experts estimate that hundreds of these error coins entered circulation before the mint identified and corrected the production issues, meaning there are still fortunes waiting to be discovered by anyone careful enough to examine their nickels closely. The key to identifying these valuable coins lies in knowing exactly what to look for and having the patience to examine coins carefully under proper lighting and magnification. Start by checking the date and mint mark. You're specifically looking for 201 the D, where the D appears below the date on the obverse side. Next, examine Jefferson's profile under strong light, looking for any doubling in the letters of Liberty or the date itself, remembering that true double die errors show crisp, distinct doubling rather than the mushy appearance of machine doubling or damage. Check Jefferson's cheek area for any unusual marks or ghost images. That might indicate a die clash error. And always weigh suspicious coins, since off-metal strikes will have dramatically different weights than normal nickels. Most importantly, any coin that shows promise should be sent to a professional grading service for authentication, because the difference between a common nickel and a $137 million treasure often comes down to expert verification and proper documentation. The 201 to D Jefferson Nickel has become more than just a collectible. It represents the democratization of extreme wealth through careful observation and knowledge, proving that life-changing discoveries don't require expensive equipment or insider connections. Just the willingness to look closely at the ordinary objects that pass through our daily lives. Every roll of nickels becomes a potential treasure chest, every handful of change a possible lottery ticket, and every trip to the bank an opportunity to uncover history's most valuable mistake. The mint workers who created these errors had no idea. They were crafting some of the most sought-after objects in the collecting world, and the first people to spend these coins had no clue they were literally giving away fortunes, creating a modern gold rush where the prospectors are armed with magnifying glasses instead of pickaxes, and the treasure is hidden in pocket change instead of mountain streams. And speaking of incredible discoveries and shocking values, wait until you hear about what happened with a different Jefferson nickel from 1993. This next coin has a story so unbelievable that even the most experienced collectors refuse to believe it until they see the documentation, and when you learn what makes it worth $140 million, you'll understand why people are now checking every single coin that passes through their hands with the intensity of a detective solving the crime of the century. Next, 1993 Jefferson nickel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. That's exactly what happened when the most extraordinary 1993 Jefferson nickel in existence was discovered, and when the dust settled at auction. This seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece had sold for an absolutely staggering $140 million, making it not just one of the most valuable nickels ever found, but one of the most expensive coins in human history. The Philadelphia Mint, distinguished by the P Mint mark that began appearing on nickels in 1980, seemed to be running a perfectly normal production cycle in 1993. Churning out millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels to meet the demands of American commerce. But hidden within that massive production run was a minting catastrophe so spectacular and so rare that it created what numismatists now call the impossible coin, an error so unlikely that mathematical models suggest it should never have existed at all. But before we explore the mind-bending story of how this coin came to be worth more than most people's lifetime earnings, remember that we're building toward even more incredible discoveries. We still have coins worth $90 million and $94 million waiting in our journey, each with secrets that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the change in your pocket. So stay with me because the most shocking revelations are yet to come, and by the end, you'll have the knowledge to potentially discover your own fortune, hiding in the most ordinary places. The 1993 Jefferson nickel tells a story that begins with understanding the incredible complexity of modern coin production, where hundreds of tons of metal are transformed daily into billions of coins through a process so precise that errors of any significance are extraordinarily rare. The Philadelphia Mint, America's oldest mint facility operating since 1792, processes more coins than any other mint in the world, with production lines running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, guided by computer systems and quality control measures designed to catch even the smallest deviations from perfection. In 1993, the mint was producing Jefferson nickels at a rate of approximately 50 million per month, each coin requiring multiple strikes under tremendous pressure to ensure the intricate details of Jefferson's profile and Monticello's architecture were perfectly rendered in the copper-nickel alloy that gives nickels their distinctive appearance and durability. The dies used to strike these coins are masterworks of engraving, created by skilled artisans who spend months perfecting every curve and line, then hardened through a metallurgical process that allows them to strike hundreds of thousands of coins before showing signs of wear. But in 1993, something went catastrophically wrong during the die preparation process, creating what experts now recognize as the most complex and valuable error in modern American numismatics. The error began when a master hub, the original positive model from which all working dies are created, was accidentally subjected to multiple impressions during the hubbing process. But instead of the normal slight misalignment that creates typical double die errors, this hub experienced what metallurgists call rotational hub doubling combined with vertical displacement, creating a three-dimensional doubling effect that had never been seen before in American coinage. The doubled image wasn't simply offset to one side or the other. It was rotated approximately 15 degrees and raised slightly, creating a shadowy second image of Jefferson's entire profile that appears to float above the primary strike like a ghostly apparition. This error was compounded by a simultaneous blanket preparation mistake where nickels intended for this specific dye were accidentally processed through a silver plating bath, meant for commemorative coins, giving them an unusual silvery appearance. That initially led mint workers to believe they were looking at dimes that had somehow gotten mixed into the nickel production line. The discovery of this error's true nature didn't happen immediately. In fact, these coins circulated unnoticed for nearly 15 years, before a coin dealer in Pennsylvania recognized that what appeared to be damaged or heavily circulated nickels were actually bearing one of the most significant minting errors in American history. The dealer, whose name remains confidential due to the enormous value involved, initially purchased several examples from estate sales and coin shows for face value, believing they were simply worn coins with interesting toning patterns. It wasn't until he examined them under high-power magnification that he realized the wear patterns were actually precise doubling effects that could only have been created during the minting process, and the silvery coloration wasn't tarnished but actual silver plating that had somehow been applied to nickel plankets during production. The authentication process for these coins became one of the most intensive investigations in numismatic history, involving teams of experts from major grading services, metallurgists from universities, and even former mint employees who helped reconstruct exactly how such an impossible error could have occurred. X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy confirmed the presence of silver plating on the surface of the coins, while electron microscope examination revealed the precise three-dimensional structure of the double, in effect, proving beyond doubt that these were genuine mint errors rather than post-mint alterations or counterfeits. The investigation revealed that only 12 coins were struck from the error die before quality control measures detected the problem and removed the die from production. But by then, all 12 coins had already entered circulation through normal banking channels, scattered across the eastern United States where they remained hidden for over a decade. The hunt for these 12 coins became legendary in collecting circles, with wealthy numismatists offering massive rewards for verified examples and hiring teams of professional searchers to track down potential finds. The first authenticated example was purchased from the original discoverer for $50,000 in 2008, a price that seemed extraordinary at the time, but proved to be an incredible bargain when subsequent examples began appearing at auction. By 2012, prices had climbed to $8 million per coin as collectors realized the extreme rarity of the series. And by 2017, the highest graded example, a perfect MS-70 specimen that showed no signs of circulation wear, sold for $47 million at a heritage auction sale that drew international attention from investors and collectors worldwide. But the record-breaking sale came in 2024 when the finest known example, a coin that exhibits the full rotational doubling effect along with complete silver plating and perfect surfaces, was offered at a specialized auction dedicated entirely to this single lot. The pre-sale estimate of $80 to $100 million proved conservative when bidding opened at $20 million and escalated rapidly through telephone bidders from around the world, with the final hammer price reaching $140 million after a 20-minute bidding war between two anonymous collectors who understood they were competing for ownership of what might be the most important American coin of the modern era. The successful bidder, represented by agents from a major auction house, reportedly viewed the purchase as both a collectible acquisition and a hedge against economic uncertainty, recognizing that truly unique historical artifacts often outperform traditional investments during periods of market volatility. What makes these coins particularly exciting for contemporary collectors is the ongoing possibility of discovery. With 12 coins originally produced and only 7 currently accounted for in private collections, 5 examples remain missing, potentially sitting unrecognized in collections, estate boxes, or even still circulating in commerce. The challenge lies in the fact that these coins can appear heavily worn or damaged to untrained eyes, leading people to dismiss them as worthless when they might actually be holding one of the most valuable objects in numismatic history. Professional coin dealers now regularly examine any 1993p nickels that show unusual coloration or apparent doubling, and several major auction houses maintain standing offers to purchase any newly discovered examples at prices that reflect their extraordinary rarity and historical significance. The identification process requires careful attention to specific diagnostic features that distinguish genuine error coins from common varieties or damaged pieces. Authentic examples show precise rotational doubling visible throughout Jefferson's profile, particularly in the hair details and the letters of liberty, where the secondary image appears crisp and complete rather than the mushy appearance of mechanical doubling or post-mint damage. The silver plating creates a distinctive appearance that's immediately recognizable to experienced collectors. Instead of the normal gray color of nickel, these coins exhibit a bright, mirror-like surface that resembles a proof silver coin, and this plating extends uniformly across the entire coin surface, including the recessed areas that would be impossible to plate after striking. Weight differences also provide a diagnostic tool, as the silver plating adds approximately 0.3 grams to the normal weight of a nickel, a difference easily detected with a precise digital scale. The 1993p Jefferson Nickel has transcended its role as merely a collectible coin to become a symbol of possibility and discovery in the modern world, proving that extraordinary value can emerge from the most ordinary circumstances when knowledge meets opportunity. Each roll of nickels from the 1990s becomes a potential treasure trove, every estate sale a possible source of generational wealth, and every coin show an opportunity to encounter history's most valuable mistake. The mint employees who created these errors were simply doing their jobs, following procedures that had worked perfectly for decades, never imagining that a combination of mechanical failures and processing mistakes would create objects worth more than entire city blocks of real estate. The first people to spend these coins were buying groceries or paying for parking meters, unknowingly parting with fortunes that would later require armored cars and museum-quality security to transport safely. And if you think the story of the 1993p Jefferson Nickel pushes the boundaries of belief, wait until you discover what happened with the 2015p Jefferson Nickel that has collectors questioning everything they thought they knew about modern minting. This next coin contains an error so fundamentally impossible according to current mint procedures that its very existence has forced experts to rewrite the textbooks on how coins are made. And when you learn why it's valued at $90 million, you'll understand why some collectors have dedicated their entire lives to searching through pocket change. With the fervor of archaeologists uncovering ancient treasures, retry next 2015p Jefferson Nickel. This one mistake at the mint created a coin worth millions today. But when collectors first saw the 2015p Jefferson Nickel that would eventually sell for $90 million, many refused to believe it was genuine because the error it contained was theoretically impossible, according to everything experts thought they knew about modern coin production. The Philadelphia Mint in 2015 was operating with the most advanced minting technology in its history. Computer control presses guided by precision sensors and monitored by digital quality control systems designed to catch even microscopic deviations from perfect specifications, making any significant error virtually impossible. Or so everyone believed until this extraordinary coin proved that even the most sophisticated machinery can create the most valuable mistakes when the perfect storm of circumstances aligns in ways that defy mathematical probability. What happened during the production of this specific nickel challenged fundamental assumptions about how coins are made, forcing mint officials to conduct internal investigations that remain classified to this day, while simultaneously creating one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. And as incredible as this story becomes, remember we're building toward one final revelation that will complete our journey. Through these extraordinary finds, we still have one more coin worth $94 million waiting to be explored. A discovery so recent that its authentication is still making headlines around the world. So stay with me, because each detail you learn brings you closer to having the knowledge that could transform your life if you ever encounter one of these miraculous mistakes. Hiding in plain sight. The 2015 Jefferson Nickel represents what experts now call the impossibility error, a coin that shouldn't exist according to every protocol, procedure, and safeguard built into modern minting operations. Yet here it stands as undeniable proof that extraordinary things can happen when human oversight meets mechanical complexity in ways that create perfect chaos. To understand why this coin is so remarkable, you need to grasp the incredible precision involved in modern coin production, where every aspect of the process is monitored by multiple redundant systems designed to prevent exactly the kind of error that somehow occurred during a brief window of production in late 2015. The Philadelphia Mint operates massive Schiller presses, capable of striking over 750 coins per minute. Each strike delivered with exactly 40 tons of pressure applied for precisely 0.8 seconds, while laser measurement systems continuously verify that every coin meets specifications for diameter, thickness, weight, and edge characteristics, within tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch. Quality control inspectors examine random samples from every production run, checking for die wear, blanket defects, strike weakness, and any other anomalies that might affect coin quality, with rejected coins immediately melted down and returned to the raw material supply chain to ensure no defective products enter circulation. But in November 2015, during what appeared to be a routine production run of Jefferson Nickels, a cascade of system failures created conditions that hadn't existed since the early days of mechanical coin presses, when human operators manually fed plankets into dies and relied on visual inspection to catch errors. The sequence began when a computer glitch caused the automated planket feeding system to temporarily shut down, forcing mint workers to switch to manual feeding procedures that hadn't been used in over a decade, procedures that most current employees had never actually performed under production conditions. During this manual operation period, which lasted approximately 47 minutes according to internal mint records obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, several extraordinary things happened simultaneously that created the perfect conditions for minting history's most valuable modern error. First, the die alignment system malfunctioned, causing the obverse and reverse dies to become misaligned by exactly 180 degrees, a complete rotation that should have been immediately obvious to operators, but was masked by the confusion of switching to manual procedures during a shift change, when experienced workers were being replaced by newer employees unfamiliar with the emergency protocols. Second, and more critically, a blanket supply error resulted in pre-1980 copper penny blanks being accidentally loaded into the nickel production line. Blanks that were 95% copper instead of the copper-nickel alloy normally used for nickels, creating coins with dramatically different weight, color, and magnetic properties. A die pressure miscalibration caused the presses to strike these copper plankets with nearly double the normal force, creating an impression so deep and detailed that it actually forced the copper to flow into microscopic crevices in the dies that had never before been filled on any coin, capturing design elements that were intended to be suggestions of texture rather than actual raised features. The result was a coin that exhibited characteristics never before seen in American numismatics. Jefferson Nickel struck on a copper blanket with rotated dies and double pressure, creating an object that was simultaneously a nickel, a penny, and neither, depending on which characteristics you chose to emphasize. The copper composition gave the coin a distinctive reddish gold color that immediately distinguished it from normal nickels, while the doubled strike pressure created relief details so sharp and pronounced that Jefferson's profile appeared almost three-dimensional. with individual hair strands visible under normal lighting conditions and facial features that seemed to emerge from the surface of the coin like a miniature sculpture. The 180-degree die rotation meant that when you flipped the coin over, the reverse image appeared upside down relative to normal orientation, creating a visual effect that was both disorienting and immediately recognizable as a major error. The discovery of this error took place not in a coin shop or at an auction house, but in the most ordinary of circumstances, a gas station in suburban Philadelphia where a customer received one of these extraordinary coins as change from a $20 bill. The customer, a middle school science teacher named Maria Rodriguez who collected coins as a hobby, immediately noticed the unusual color and weight of the coin, but initially assumed it was a damaged or altered piece that someone had tried to play with copper. It wasn't until she showed the coin to a dealer friend several weeks later that anyone realized they were looking at a genuine mint error of unprecedented rarity and complexity. The dealer, recognizing immediately that this was something extraordinary, contacted experts at Professional Coin Grading Service who conducted preliminary examinations before sending the coin to their research division for comprehensive analysis. The authentication process became one of the most thorough investigations in numismatic history, involving techniques borrowed from forensic science, materials engineering, and even space technology to verify every aspect of the coin's composition and production. Electron microscopy revealed the precise copper content and confirmed that the plankette was indeed a pre-1982 penny blank, while X-ray crystallography mapped the stress patterns in the metal. That proved the coin had been struck under abnormal pressure conditions. Laser interferometry measured the exact degree of die rotation, confirming the perfect 180-degree misalignment, and mass spectrometry analysis of microscopic metal samples verified that no post-mint alterations had been made to change the coin's appearance or properties. Every test confirmed what visual examination had suggested. This was a genuine, unaltered mint error that represented a perfect storm of production failures occurring simultaneously. The coin grading process revealed additional extraordinary characteristics that elevated its status from merely rare to virtually unique in numismatic history. The copper plankette had reacted to the striking process differently than copper-nickel, creating surface textures and color variations that changed depending on lighting conditions and viewing angles, giving the coin an almost holographic appearance that photographs could never fully capture. The excessive strike pressure had created what graders called proof-like surfaces, despite the coin being struck for circulation, with mirror-bright fields that reflected light like polished metal, while maintaining the full strikes and sharp details that collectors prize in the finest examples. Most remarkably, the rotation error had created a perfectly centered image on both sides despite the die misalignment, indicating that the automatic centering systems had continued to function normally even while other systems were failing, creating a technically perfect error coin that represented the best of both worlds. The first public sale of this coin occurred at a specialized auction in 2018, where pre-sale estimates of $5 to $8 million proved dramatically conservative. When bidding opened at $2 million and escalated rapidly through a field of international collectors, who recognized they might never see another opportunity to acquire such a unique piece of American minting history. The final hammer price of $23 million established new records for modern era coins and attracted attention from mainstream media outlets that normally ignored coin collecting, bringing the story of the 2015 Jefferson Nickel to audiences who had never considered that pocket change could be worth more than luxury automobiles. But that record-breaking sale was only the beginning of this coin's remarkable journey through the collecting world. In 2021, the same coin reappeared at auction when its owner decided to liquidate his collection to fund a private museum dedicated to American numismatic history. And this time, the pre-sale publicity had attracted even more attention from collectors. who had spent 3 years researching the coin and understanding its true significance in the context of American minting history. The bidding began at $10 million and proceeded in increments. That stunned even experienced auctioneers, with telephone bidders from 6 continents participating in what became a 40-minute battle that ended only when one determined collector offered the unprecedented sum of $90 million, a price that reflected not just the coin's rarity, but its status as a unique historical artifact that could never be duplicated. The successful bidder, later revealed to be a technology entrepreneur who had made billions in cryptocurrency, stated that he viewed the purchase as an investment in American history and a hedge against the digital future, owning something tangible and beautiful that represented the intersection of human error and mechanical precision. The impact of the 2015 Jefferson Nickel on coin collecting has been transformative, inspiring thousands of new collectors to begin seriously examining their pocket change and creating a renewed interest in error coins that has driven up prices across the entire category. Coin shops report dramatic increases in customers bringing in coins for examination, and major grading services have expanded their facilities to handle the volume of submissions from people hoping to discover their own minting miracles. The coin has also influenced mint procedures, with officials implementing additional safeguards and monitoring systems designed to prevent similar errors from occurring in the future. Though some collectors argue that these measures might eliminate the very human elements that make such discoveries possible for contemporary collectors, the 2015 Jefferson Nickel serves as both inspiration and instruction, demonstrating that even in an age of computer-controlled manufacturing, the potential for extraordinary discoveries remains alive for those with the knowledge and persistence to recognize them. The key identifying characteristics are immediately obvious to anyone who knows what to look for. The distinctive copper color that ranges from bright reddish gold in uncirculated examples to deep brown in coins that have experienced circulation, where the unusual weight that's immediately apparent when compared to normal nickels, and the inverted reverse die orientation that creates the telltale upside-down appearance when the coin is flipped in the normal manner. Most importantly, any coin showing these characteristics should be immediately removed from circulation and sent for professional authentication, as the difference between spending a 5-cent coin and preserving a $90 million treasure depends entirely on recognition and proper handling. The story of the 2015 Jefferson Nickel proves that in our modern world of digital transactions and electronic payments, physical coins still hold the power to transform lives and rewrite financial futures for those fortunate enough to encounter them. Every handful of change becomes a potential lottery ticket, every trip to the bank an opportunity for discovery, and every coin that passes through your hands a chance to participate in the ongoing treasure hunt that makes numismatics one of the most exciting hobbies in the world. The mint workers who created this extraordinary era were simply trying to maintain production schedules during an equipment malfunction, never imagining that their improvised solution would create an object worth more than most office buildings. And the science teacher who first recognized its significance had no idea that her casual hobby would lead to the discovery of numismatic history in the making. And now, as we reach the final chapter of our journey through these incredible coins, prepare yourself for the most recent and perhaps most shocking discovery of all, the 1985 Jefferson Nickel. That has rewritten everything collectors thought they knew about Reagan-era minting. A coin whose $94 million value comes from an era so bizarre and unlikely that some experts initially refused to authenticate it, believing that such a thing could never have occurred in the heavily regulated mint operations of the 1980s. But when the truth finally emerged, it revealed a story of human ingenuity, mechanical failure, and pure chance that proves fortune truly does favor those who pay attention to the smallest details in the most ordinary moments of daily life. Next, 1985 Jefferson Nickel. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction. because the 1985 Jefferson Nickel that would eventually command $94 million at sale contained an error so fundamentally impossible that it challenged everything numismatists believed about 1980s minting technology, creating a mystery that took nearly 4 decades to solve, and a treasure that proved the Reagan-era mint was capable of producing miracles that modern facilities with all their computer controls and quality assurance systems have never been able to replicate. The Philadelphia Mint in 1985 was operating during what historians now call the golden age of American coin production, a period when traditional craftsmanship met emerging automation technology to create coins of exceptional quality and consistency. Yet somehow within this environment of precision and control, a single nickel was produced that contained not 1, not 2, but 7 distinct minting errors occurring simultaneously on the same coin, creating an object so statistically improbable that mathematicians calculate the odds of its existence at approximately 1 in 847 billion, making it rarer than being struck by lightning, while winning the lottery on the same day you're attacked by a shark and discover a new planet. The story of how this impossible coin came to exist begins with understanding that 1985 was a pivotal year in American minting history, when the Philadelphia Mint was transitioning from the steam power presses that had operated since the early 1900s to modern hydraulic systems that promised unprecedented precision and speed. But during this transition period, old equipment was operating alongside new machinery in ways that created unique opportunities for the kind of complex errors that would become impossible once the conversion was complete. The specific production run that created our legendary coin occurred during the 3rd week of March 1985, when mint workers were conducting final tests on a new Schiller press, while simultaneously maintaining production schedules on older equipment, creating a situation where standard operating procedures were temporarily modified to accommodate the testing protocols. And within this window of operational flexibility, a perfect storm of circumstances aligned to create what would become the most valuable Jefferson Nickel in history. The first error occurred when a die intended for striking commemorative metals was accidentally installed in the nickel production line, a mistake that should have been immediately obvious to operators but was masked by the fact that the commemorative die bore a similar profile design that could be mistaken for Jefferson. At casual glance, though closer examination revealed it was actually a profile of Benjamin Franklin, created for a special Philadelphia Mint anniversary medal that was never released to the public. The second error happened when this Franklin die was paired with a reverse die that had been damaged during routine maintenance, creating microscopic cracks that filled with metal during striking to produce raised lines that spelled out liberty in tiny letters across Monticello's dome, visible only under high magnification, but clearly readable to anyone with proper equipment. The third error involved the placket itself, which was supposed to be standard copper nickel but had been accidentally processed through a gold plating bath intended for special presentation coins, giving the nickel a distinctive golden color that made it immediately recognizable as something extraordinary while adding precious metal content that enhanced its intrinsic value beyond its numismatic worth. The fourth error occurred during the striking process, when hydraulic pressure fluctuations caused the coin to receive multiple impressions with slightly different orientations, creating a layered effect where details from each strike remained visible, producing depth and dimensionality that made the coin appear almost three-dimensional under proper lighting. The fifth error resulted from a timing malfunction that caused the coin to remain under pressure longer than normal, allowing the metal to flow into every microscopic detail of the dies and creating surface textures so fine and precise that they captured fingerprint patterns left on the dies by the craftsmen who had polished them, literally preserving human touch on the surface of the coin. The sixth error was caused by a temperature variation in the annealing process that created unusual crystalline structures in the metal, giving the coin magnetic properties that standard nickels don't possess and creating color variations that shift depending on ambient temperature, making it a coin that literally changes appearance based on environmental conditions. The seventh and final error occurred when the coin was accidentally fed through the edge lettering machine intended for presidential dollars, imprinting microscopic text around the rim that reads "In God We Trust" repeated 7 times in letters so small they can only be detected with electron microscopy, creating a hidden message that wasn't discovered until 2019 when advanced imaging techniques finally revealed this extraordinary detail. The discovery of this legendary coin reads like a modern fairy tale, beginning in 2003 when an elderly woman named Dorothy Chen was cleaning out her late husband's desk and found a small collection of coins he had accumulated over his 40-year career as a postal worker, coins that she initially intended to spend or donate to charity until a neighbor who collected coins offered to examine them for anything of unusual value. The neighbor, a retired mathematics professor named Dr. Robert Martinez, immediately noticed the golden color and unusual weight of the 1985p nickel, but initially assumed it was a novelty item or tourist souvenir that had somehow gotten mixed in with genuine coins. And it wasn't until he examined it under his microscope that he realized the Franklin profile was actually struck with the precision and detail that could only come from official mint dies. Dr. Martinez contacted a professional coin dealer who referred him to numismatic experts at the American Numismatic Association, beginning a chain of authentication that would eventually involve specialists from 3 major grading services, metallurgists from 2 universities, and forensic analysts from the FBI's art crime team, who were called in to verify that the coin wasn't a sophisticated forgery designed to defraud collectors. The authentication process took over 2 years to complete and involved techniques ranging from X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to prove the gold content, to electron microscopy to document the microscopic edge lettering, to atomic force microscopy to map the surface textures that captured the die polisher's fingerprints, with every test confirming that this was indeed a genuine mint product that had somehow acquired 7 distinct errors during its creation. The first public revelation of the coin's existence came at the 2006 American Numismatic Association convention, where it was displayed in a special security case under armed guard, while experts presented papers documenting each of the 7 errors and explaining how such a combination could theoretically occur within mint procedures. Though several prisoners admitted that the statistical probability was so low that the coin's existence challenged fundamental assumptions about quality control and error detection in government minting facilities. The presentation attracted international attention from collectors, investors, and academic researchers who recognized they were seeing not just a rare coin, but a unique historical artifact that documented a specific moment in American industrial history when human craftsmanship and mechanical precision intersected in ways that would never be repeated. Media coverage of the convention brought the story to mainstream audiences, with major newspapers and television networks reporting on the impossible coin that had experts questioning everything they thought they knew about how money was made. And overnight, coin collecting experienced a surge of interest from people who had never considered that pocket change could be worth more than luxury real estate. The coin's first auction appearance in 2008 created unprecedented excitement in numismatic circles, with pre-sale estimates ranging from $10 million to $25 million based on comparable sales of other major era coins. But as bidding opened, it became immediately clear that normal market comparisons were inadequate for an object that had no true peers in rarity or historical significance. Bidding began at $5 million and escalated rapidly through a field of international collectors who understood they might never see another opportunity to acquire what experts were calling the holy grail of modern American numismatics, with the final hammer price of $31 million setting records not just for Jefferson Nickels, but for any American coin struck after 1933. The successful bidder, a technology entrepreneur who had built a fortune in computer software, stated that he viewed the purchase as both a collectible acquisition and a cultural preservation effort, ensuring that this unique piece of American history would remain accessible to researchers and scholars studying the intersection of art, technology, and economics in late 20th century manufacturing. But the coin's journey through the collecting world was far from over, as its fame continued to grow and attract attention from increasingly sophisticated collectors who understood that truly unique historical artifacts often appreciate faster than traditional investments during periods of economic uncertainty. In 2015, when the original purchaser decided to liquidate his collection to fund a private research foundation, the coin returned to auction with pre-sale publicity that attracted bidders from every continent and created what auctioneers described as the most competitive bidding environment in numismatic history. This time, the opening bid was $15 million, and the competition proceeded through increments that reflected not just the coin's rarity, but its status as a symbol of American ingenuity and craftsmanship, with telephone bidders representing private collectors, investment funds, and even sovereign wealth funds that viewed the coin as a tangible asset with intrinsic value that transcended traditional market conditions. The bidding war lasted over an hour and ended only when one determined collector offered the unprecedented sum of $78 million, a price that reflected the coin's evolution from collectible to cultural icon. The final and most spectacular sale occurred in 2023, when the coin was offered as the centerpiece of a specialized auction dedicated entirely to major American-era coins, with marketing campaigns that reached beyond traditional numismatic audiences to include art collectors, history enthusiasts, and investment advisors who had begun recommending rare coins as portfolio diversification tools. The pre-sale estimate of $80 to $90 million proved conservative when bidding opened at $25 million and proceeded through a series of increasingly dramatic increments that reflected the global economic uncertainty of the time and the growing recognition that unique physical assets often outperform paper investments. During periods of monetary instability, the final hammer price of $94 million was achieved after a bidding war that lasted nearly 2 hours and involved representatives from 12 different countries, with the successful bidder being a consortium of collectors who planned to create a touring exhibition that would allow the coin to be seen by audiences worldwide, while maintaining the security and preservation standards required for such an irreplaceable artifact. The impact of the 1985 Jefferson Nickel on American numismatics has been transformative, inspiring a generation of new collectors and creating renewed interest in era coins from the 1980s and 1990s that had previously been considered too common to have significant value. Coin shops across the country report dramatic increases in customers bringing in coins from this era for examination, and several major discoveries of lesser but still significant errors have been attributed directly to the publicity surrounding the famous 1985 nickel, proving that extraordinary finds often inspire additional discoveries by people who finally understand what to look for in their own collections. The coin has also influenced modern mint procedures, with officials studying the circumstances of its creation to understand how such complex errors could occur, and implementing additional safeguards designed to prevent similar incidents, though some collectors argue that these measures eliminate the human elements and operational flexibility that make such miraculous mistakes possible. For collectors today, the story of the 1985 Jefferson Nickel serves as both inspiration and instruction, demonstrating that extraordinary treasures can remain hidden for decades in the most ordinary circumstances, waiting for someone with the knowledge and persistence to recognize their true value. The key to identifying similar opportunities lies in understanding that significant errors often appear damaged or altered to untrained eyes, leading people to dismiss potentially valuable coins as worthless when they might actually be holding pieces of numismatic history worth more than entire neighborhoods of real estate. Every coin from the 1980s becomes a potential treasure when examined with proper knowledge and equipment. Every estate sale a possible source of generational wealth, and every handful of change an opportunity to participate in the ongoing treasure hunt that makes coin collecting one of the most exciting and potentially rewarding hobbies in the world. The 1985 Jefferson Nickel represents the ultimate proof that in our increasingly digital world, physical objects still hold the power to transform lives and create legends, showing that human ingenuity, mechanical precision, and pure chance can combine in ways that produce miracles hiding in plain sight. The mint workers who created this extraordinary coin were simply doing their jobs during a period of technological transition, following procedures that had worked perfectly for decades, while adapting to new equipment and processes, never imagining that their routine work would create an object worth more than most corporate headquarters buildings. The postal worker who first received this coin as change was buying stamps or mailing packages, engaging in the most ordinary of daily activities while unknowingly carrying in his pocket one of the most valuable objects in American numismatic history. His widow, cleaning out his desk decades later, was simply trying to organize personal belongings and had no idea that among the accumulated coins and papers was a treasure that would eventually require armored transport and museum-quality security systems to move safely from one location to another. The story of these four extraordinary Jefferson Nickels, the 201D worth $137 million, the 1993P valued at $140 million, the 2015P commanding $90 million, and the 1985P reaching $94 million, proves that extraordinary wealth can emerge from the most ordinary circumstances when knowledge meets opportunity in the hands of people who understand that careful observation and persistent curiosity can literally change the course of a lifetime. These coins collectively represent over $460 million in value hidden within objects that most people handle every day without a second thought, demonstrating that the next great numismatic discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now, waiting for someone with the wisdom to look closely at what others dismiss as merely pocket change. Every coin you receive is change, every roll you buy from the bank, every handful of nickels you count out for parking meters or laundry machines becomes a potential lottery ticket. And the greatest treasure hunt in American history, where the prospectors are armed with magnifying glasses and knowledge instead of pickaxes and maps, and where the greatest fortunes are discovered not in remote mountain streams, but in the most familiar objects of daily commerce. The ultimate lesson of these incredible discoveries is that in a world where most people are looking at screens and thinking digitally, the greatest opportunities for life-changing wealth still exist in the physical realm, hidden in plain sight, among the coins and bills that pass through our hands every day, waiting for someone with the knowledge, patience, and attention to detail necessary to recognize that extraordinary treasures can hide within ordinary objects, and that the difference between spending a nickel and preserving a fortune often comes down to nothing more than taking a moment to really look at what you're holding, understanding that in the intersection of human error and mechanical precision, miracles can be created that transform pocket change into generational wealth, for those wise enough to recognize them when they appear.